Eels.
It's going.
Is it going?
I think so.
Is it going? Is it going?
Okay, time for the intro.
Intro.
Hello and welcome to History Laid Bare. I'm Dave Sheep-Bannerman.
And I'm Martin Ian Almond.
Martin, did you know the Australian military went to war with an emu? Well, with emus, plural. Yeah, I didn't either. Let's get into it.
I really want to do it, but I'm not going to.
Right, this one is this one straight from the realms of no, that never happened.
This is straight from the...
Oh, one. Yes, one. Right, so those who don't know, every time I knock the pop filter which covers the mic, Martin loves to jump on it and count. I think I'm on about 12.
Yeah, that'll probably be my fifth.
Now Martin's on, well, one that we're counting, so it's 12-1.
Are we restarting it?
Well, you started it, so
Fine then.
12-1.
Okay then. You're still losing.
I'm in a big way, yeah.
Yours.
Okay, so
Anyway.
the Emu Wars, or the Great Emu War. Wow. This is one, absolutely.
This is like something out of Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Well, yeah.
It's a good series, actually.
Yeah. I say this, well, I've said it a couple of times. I thought this was fiction. Again, I thought this was something that someone had just made up. But no, apparently it did happen. So the Emu War, or Great Emu War, was a nuisance wildlife management operation involving the Australian military, taking place in Western Australia in late 1932.
A nuisance wildlife operation.
Yeah. We're going to get more into it.
That's one way of saying it. I just want to kill some birds.
They went all out. All out. We're going to... If you've never heard of this, you're in for a wild ride, because I thought this was... I love this one. I did. I know, you know, the more I researched it, the more I was laughing. I'm sorry. I know it's probably not funny, but the more I was cracking up.
Yeah, but they're vicious though.
Oh, they are. They're
vicious.
They're horrible birds, emus.
Just like angrier versions of ostriches.
Yeah. So the whole reason that this happened is because after World War One, when large numbers of Australian veterans were returning back to Australia, the government gave them land to take up farming, you know, to increase the output and give them something to do. And okay, well, there's some land, go and be farmers. That's fine.
There's some land, go and be farmers. You know, you just fought in one of the most brutal conflicts in human history, so go and chill.
Yeah, but being a farmer is far from chill.
Well, yeah, that is that.
It was a good idea on paper, but the land wasn't very fertile. It wasn't very good for farming, and the work was backbreaking and, you know, hard.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're plodding along for a couple of years, and then next thing, boof, the Great Depression, Wall Street crash, 1929, all that. I did try to sort of look into that and get a bit more background on that just to round it up, but there's a lot to that.
Yeah, there's a lot to the Wall Street crash in 1929,
and maybe it would be an episode, maybe not. I don't know if it's interesting enough to people.
I think a lot of people do know.
They know
about the Wall Street crash and the start of the Great Depression and stuff like that, but it could be one of those where there's factoids that people might not know about, so it could be something that we could look into and as a possible episode in the future.
Maybe, but we're not promising anything on the Wall Street crash, because, you know, there's loads of info out there, and Yeah, there you go. Right, so what happened after that?
So after the Wall Street crash and the veterans getting the farm and the land for the farming and it being backbreaking work and everything like that, the ground not being that very fertile, they were promised help in the form of subsidies from the government, so money to help keep the prices of commodities like wheat, say for instance, stable.
Yep.
But as in all things like this, the government didn't follow through on the promise, and the wheat prices began to fall and kept falling. And by October 1932, things had gotten that bad that wheat farmers in Western Australia were getting ready to harvest the crops, but refusing to deliver them. It literally just wasn't worth the while. They weren't going to make money on it.
Yeah. So, okay, we're sitting here talking about, and just before, the government not following through on a promise. Imagine that. It's very unusual.
That's a very unusual one, that, isn't it? It's not like that. It's not like that ever happens.
No, they always do what they're gonna,
yeah, they always do what they're gonna say.
Absolutely. Anyway,
after that line of sarcasm.
Yep. So we're sitting here talking about farmers and wheat prices and Western Australia. We said at the top of the episode, emus. So we will get to the emus, but we've got some emu facts at the minute.
6 to be in fact.
6 to be exact, yeah.
To be in fact.
6 facts to be exact.
That's what I was going for. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
Fair enough. Okay, so the emu is the second largest flightless bird after the ostrich.
Demon birds.
Yeah. They're endemic to Australia, which means they're only naturally found there. That's different to indigenous. Now, this confused me a little bit. So indigenous is meaning a creature is found in one place, but also others. So,
and endemic means it's from that place.
Yeah. So the example I thought of indigenous was pigeons.
Oh, and a good example of that would be what we were talking about before we started recording the episode. Dingoes.
Dingoes, yeah.
And I only found... Do you want to know how I actually found that out?
Go on, do tell.
I was listening to an episode of The Madness Mirror the other day going to work.
Okay.
And there was a gentleman on it. I can't remember his name. But he was in India. I think it was about 20 years ago, something like that, he said. And he was chairing a conference. He was the head of it and everything. And he was giving a speech. No, not a speech. He was doing a talk on the area that he's an expert in. And as he was walking through the area that he was in, he was like, he seen these dogs. And he was like, looking at them. And he's a native of Australia. And he was like, they're dingoes. And even he didn't know that they'd come from India to Australia.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I was like, oh, well, I never knew that.
Because you think of a dingo, you think straight away.
Australia.
Excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah, a little bit of drink went round the wrong way.
Down the wrong hole.
That's the one. But yeah, I didn't know the dingoes were actually from India. How about that?
I didn't know that.
Wow.
But you see, like, say for instance, you see a news report from like rural India or something like that, and you see these dogs in the background, like tan-coloured, yellow-coloured dogs.
Yeah.
And then you'll see something from Australia with a dingo in, and you look at it and go,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
I've never, my life, I'm very sorry. I've never clicked on, I'll be honest with you. But okay, so I'll give you the last fact, and Martin can do the next 3. They got brown soft feathers and a long neck.
So, like an ostrich then?
Yeah.
Evil birds. Now, excuse me.
I can't get rid of them, sorry, just hang on.
You got a tickle in your throat?
I do.
Tickle.
That's better.
Right. So he has a bit of his drink and then he goes for his vape and he has a tickle in his throat. I wonder why.
I'm not the most. Anyway, come on. 3 facts. Come on, let's go.
Emus can grow to 1.9 meters or 6.3 feet in height.
That's tall.
That's tall. That's as tall as...
Taller than us.
Well, it's taller than me and Dave.
Yeah.
I'm a short ass. They can travel... Can travel. They can travel...
He's struggling with this one.
They can travel great distances.
Hey.
And they can sprint up to 30 miles per hour or 48 kilometres an hour.
I didn't know that, actually, that last one. I knew they were tall because I've seen them in real life, and they're just horrible. I don't like them at all. No. And they look at you like they want to kick your head in. They do.
That's because they're friggin' vicious.
They do. They look at you like they want to beat you up. They do.
They give you an evil look and like, I'm going to have you, lad.
No, I hate them. I don't like them at all.
But the whole reason, well, I wouldn't say the whole reason for this, I would say one of the starting reasons for the Great Emu War was emus migrating to the coast from the inland areas began to cause major problems.
That's the one, because we cleared land and water sources put in by farmers for livestock, as well as the abundance of food, the wheat. The emus decided they liked it. We like it here, and they began to wander onto the farmland. This was especially, I love the place names, this was especially problematic in places called Chandler and Walgoolan.
Walgoolan.
You've got to love Australian place names. Walgoolan.
See, I actually thought that was Chandler Walgoolan. one
No, it's two places, yeah.
So,
but yeah,
but that name is awesome.
Well, there's another one, a better one coming up in a little bit. Apparently the emus destroyed crops by eating them and left big holes in the fences, allowing other pests, rabbits in particular, to get onto the land and cause even more damage. We're going to just deviate a minute now and tell you about something called the rabbit fence.
So, what is the rabbit fence? What's the big deal?
I mean, they're only rabbits, aren't they?
No, they are only rabbits.
How much can a rabbit do?
Right.
Oh, quite a bit, it turns out.
Quite a bit. A shocking amount of damage, apparently. So, in Australia, rabbits are a big deal, especially in Western Australia. So much of a big deal, in fact, there is a 1,139 mile, and that's 1,833 kilometres long, rabbit fence that runs north to south across the state, and this at one time was the longest unbroken fence in the world.
For rabbits.
I
mean, for other pests as well, but mainly rabbits. And rabbits were a significant part of species loss in Australia, as well as causing much environmental damage, and they eat everything.
Don't they just?
Impacting on natural resources and, of course, crops.
Now, they became such a problem that in the 1950s, the government introduced the...
They introduced the myxoma virus.
Okay.
Which causes myxomatosis.
Okay, so the myxoma virus, which, as Davis just said, causes myxomatosis. And it was introduced, and it worked for a while until the rabbits became immune to it. And after a while, they were breeding like they do, like rabbits. And the populations were soon back up to almost unmanageable levels. So, yeah,
it got to such a problem that they actually started killing the rabbits off with the myxoma virus. And myxomatosis apparently causes, kills rabbits. I don't know how it kills rabbits. I didn't look into that too much, but it does.
To be fair, if it...
I hope it's fairly humane.
I'm hoping it's humane as well, but by the sounds of it, the way they were breeding, it could have been a sterility virus.
Maybe.
Maybe it could have been that. I don't.
But no, I
to be honest,
from the brief little look I had at it, I think it killed them off. I think.
Well, let's hope it was humane.
I hope it was humane anyway. I know they're pests, but they're still, pests. No need to cause them unnecessary suffering.
Pains in the arse, rabbits.
Anyway, let's get back to the emus.
Back to the devil birds.
Yep. A group of farmers representing the larger farming community of Western Australia went to see the then Defence Minister, Sir George Pearce. Being war veterans, the farmers were aware of the effectiveness of the machine gun. Now, this was still relatively new back then. Don't forget, this is only 1932. So machine guns weren't as commonplace as they were, say, once the Second World War happened.
Well, to be fair, even at the outbreak of the Second World War, I wouldn't exactly say like machine guns were quite prevalent.
No, and they were still quite specialised at the time as well. You had to be trained properly to use one.
Yeah, because it was the machine gunner himself and a loader.
Yeah.
Kind of like how sniper teams work now.
Yeah, with the sniper and the spotter. Yeah. So it was still quite new and specialised at the time. And they asked for some. Pearce agreed, but he did put some conditions with this agreement. So, fire away.
The conditions were: 1, the farmers themselves would not get the guns. They would only be handled by serving soldiers. 2, the Western Australian government had to finance any transport needs, paying for diesel and any repairs to the vehicles used. And 3, the farmers had to pay for the ammunition themselves, as well as provide food and accommodation for the soldiers deployed to help with this problem.
So basically, it's the government saying, we'll help you, but we're having nothing to do with it financially.
You've got to finance this yourself.
You're paying for it yourselves.
Here's the gun.
Here's the guns.
Here's the guns. Go and do what you need to do.
Yeah, but our soldiers are using them. You're not.
Yeah. Even though you're veterans, no.
Yeah. So Pearce also, the Defence Minister, Sir George Pearce, he also believed it would be good target practice training for the soldiers. But others believed there was a bit more to it than this. Others believed it was a way to be seen to be helping the Western Australian government, as many believed that there was a secession movement brewing in the area, so they wanted to break away and become their own thing.
Secession.
I think that's how you say it.
I think so.
Secede.
The government for Western Australia wanted to secede from
the main,
being part of Australia, basically.
Yeah, because Western Australia was only a state. So a bit like, say, California is only a state. And California wanting to secede from the United States, which I think there was a couple of movements over there, wasn't there, to do that? And not necessarily California. I think the South wanted to.
If you're talking about the American Civil War,
well, possibly, but no, that was over something else, wasn't it? Well, yeah, it might be.
It could be getting yourself a little bit mixed up with the American Civil War there.
Right. Okay.
That's an entirely different kettle of fish.
100%. We're not even going there with this one.
No. We do like our tangents, but that's too big of a tangent to go down.
We'll be here for days.
Yes.
So yeah, apparently,
especially with the French connection.
Well, let's just stop there. So yeah, apparently many believed that there was a secession movement growing in Western Australia, and this was a way of the government to say, look, we're helping you, we're doing this. And they even employed a cinematographer from one of the local movie companies.
So maybe a bit of
propaganda, maybe.
Let's bump up the government and have a little bit of propaganda, what we're doing, kind of thing.
Let's make the government look great.
No, don't we look good with giving everybody Lewis guns?
Right.
Taka. So,
tell us about the military involvement. Go on.
The military involvement. Right. The military involvement was supposed to begin in October 1932 under the command of Major Gwynedd Purvis Wyn Aubrey Meredith.
That's a name, isn't it?
That's a mouthful. Of the Australian Royal Artillery's 7th Heavy Artillery. Now, Meredith commanded Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran. J. O'Halloran.
J. O'Halloran, yeah.
Armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. However, the operation was delayed due to rain, which caused the offending emus to scatter over too wide an area. Now, by November 2nd, the rain had stopped and the troops were deployed to assist the farmers. According to one newspaper account, they were tasked with collecting 100 emu skins so their feathers could be used to make hats for light horsemen.
So they were going to be used. So they were going to put the hides to use at least.
Yeah, they were going to put the hides to use.
Fair enough.
Use at least, and the feathers.
Yeah.
Look at my plumage.
How often do you get to say plumage?
In everyday conversation, not that often. I have a nice plumage. Do you like my plumage?
Right, that is your mission. Next time we go out, you need to work plumage into the conversation.
I just walk into a shop and go, I'm looking for a hat.
It must have good plumage.
It must have fantastic plumage.
Yeah, that's your. You need to work that into a conversation with a stranger next time we go out.
I'd probably get looked at and be like, "Are you all right there, Scouse?"
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Plumage.
Right, so up to 50 emus were spotted at a place called Campion. Now the soldiers attempted an ambush but failed. The birds scattered into smaller groups, making them more difficult to target. And later that day, a smaller flock was encountered, and the soldiers scoring their first hits, killing maybe a dozen of the birds.
You okay?
No. On November 4th, Major Meredith set an ambush near a local dam. With around 1,000 emus spotted heading for the site, the soldiers waited until the birds were well within range before opening fire. The guns jammed, however, and again, there were only maybe 10 to 12 birds killed, with the rest scattering.
They're really not having much luck with this, are they?
Not going well, is it?
No. So, in the following days, Meredith decided to move the operation to the south, where he'd heard the birds were reported to be more tame. How the hell can an emu be tame?
Don't know.
It is a devil bird. It will literally like peck your eyes out rather than look at you.
I know. Don't like emus, do you?
No.
No, I don't either.
No, horrible birds. But there was limited success there as well. One army observer noted. Now this made me giggle. This really made me giggle. Right. One army observer noted each pack seems to have its own leader now.
This actually happened. These are actual quotes from an actual event that actually took place. Okay, we are not making this up.
This is not a work of fiction. This is a work of.
Check the calendar. It's not
fact.
April Fool's Day. It's not April Fool's Day. We are not making this up. It's not a wind up. It actually happened.
We're really not. But this is so funny. I shouldn't laugh. I really shouldn't. Oh, right. So, as I said, each pack seems to have its own leader now. A big black-plumed bird, plumage, which stands fully 6 feet high and keeps watch while his mates carry out their work of destruction and warns them of our approach.
So they're starting to organise. They're starting to get themselves sorted out. The emus now. This next one had me. Okay, so that one got Martin, but this next one got me. Wait to hear this.
So did this one.
Oh. Meredith even mounted one of the guns on a truck. Now, bear in mind, at 1932, it wasn't able to keep up with the birds, and the ride was so bumpy the gunner couldn't hit anything anyway. It was reportedly hit by a kamikaze emu.
Banzai!
and crashed into a fence. So that went well.
I'm sorry. I can literally just see this emus running across the field and running across the plains of Western Australia.
Little white headband on.
Little white headband on, just like I was going to say arms out, wings out at the back, just like banzai. into the side of the truck, and the guys are just like, what the fuck?
So at this point, the emus are winning. I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with this. Go on. By November. So we're 6 days in now. November 8th, what happened?
Right. By November 8th, 2,500 rounds have been fired, with reports on feathery casualties varying wildly from 50 or less to between 2 and 500. Meredith felt it prudent to note in his official report that his troops had suffered no casualties.
Dear me. Right.
On the same day, following discussions in the Australian House of Representatives, negative reports in the media, and a small number of emus confirmed killed, Pierce withdrew the soldiers along with the guns.
He said, right, that's it. You're not, it's not working. Come back. That's enough. Come back.
So, after the withdrawal, Meredith compared the birds to the African Zulu warrior tribes, commenting on the striking maneuverability of the birds even when wounded, and stating, if we had a military division with the bullet-absorbing capacity of these birds, it could face down any army in the world. They can face down machine gun fire with the invulnerability of tanks.
Robo-emus. So the emus they're basically just not...
I hope to God Paul Verhoeven doesn't listen to this and get an idea for a new movie, Robo-Emu.
Well,
the future of warfighting.
Right, so the first attempt was an absolute bust, failed. After the withdrawal, yeah, no, they've lost a truck. They've fired all them rounds and got nothing to show for it. They've been given the run around in the desert. My life, not doing well.
The guns jammed at the dam.
Guns jammed. They got rained off. You couldn't write this, could you?
No, you really couldn't unless you were there.
Yeah. So after the withdrawal, the emus continued to attack the crops, and the farmers once again requested assistance, claiming that the hot weather and drought were major factors in bringing the birds back, attacking farms in their thousands. So this is becoming a real problem now.
So the emus are mobilised.
These look like they've organised.
They've organised. They're at war.
That's it. The Great Emu War.
The Great Emu War. Round 2.
So James Mitchell, the Western Australian Premier, strongly supported renewing military assistance. At the same time, the commander of the base the soldiers were originally deployed from, first time, released a report claiming that no less than 300 emus had been killed during the initial 6-day operation.
So to be fair, that's a lot of emus.
Bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, we're taking the mickey out of them, but fair enough. But it's amusing. I can't help it. I know it was a serious event, and at the time, I'm sure it was deadly serious. But it was,
You missed that then, didn't you?
Go on.
It's amusing.
Ew. That was a foul joke.
That was a bit paltry, to be fair.
Oh, mate, come on, stop it. Good God. Things that make us laugh, Right, so based on that report off the base commander, the farmers' renewed pleas for help and the pressure from Mitchell, Pierce, Defence Minister, did eventually agree to a second operation on November 12th. He defended his decision in the Australian Senate by saying the soldiers were necessary to combat the serious agricultural threat posed by the large emu population.
And with Meredith saying that, the military agreed with the same conditions as before, and Meredith was once again put in charge due to an apparent lack of experienced machine gunners in the state.
So as we said before, the machine gun was still quite new, and you had to be specially trained on it.
Yes.
And just to run over those conditions again, where am I? The farmers wouldn't get the guns themselves. The Western Australian government had to finance any transport needs, and the farmers had to pay for the ammunition themselves, as well as room and board for the soldiers. Okay,
yes.
just a quick reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, deploying on November 13th, 1932, the military claimed some success in the first 2 days, with some 40 emus killed. Day 3 wasn't so good, but by December 2nd, the soldiers were taking down approximately 100 emus per week.
So they got their act together by this point then?
Yeah, they got their eye in with the Lewis guns by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Meredith was recalled on December 10th. His report claimed 986 emus killed, with 9,860 rounds fired. So that's more or less...
Well, that's exactly 10 rounds per bird, isn't it?
10 rounds per bird. So you're 40 rounds off the 10,000 rounds that they were allocated for the Lewis guns.
Yeah.
So they basically expended all their ammunition.
Yeah. Additionally, he claimed that around 2,500 birds died as a result of injuries. Okay.
So, assessing the success of the cull, a newspaper called the...
This is the other name I like.
The Coolgardie?
Coolgardie.
The Coolgardie Miner reported that although the use of the machine guns had been criticised in many quarters, the method had actually proved successful in saving what was left of the wheat. Word of the operations eventually reached the UK, where some conservationists called the cull an extermination of the rare emu birds. Hubert Whittle.
It's all right.
Hubert Whittle, an eminent Australian ornithologist, called the war an attempt at mass destruction of the birds.
Right. So there's people sitting thousands of miles away in England who aren't affected by this, whose livelihoods aren't being put at risk by these birds, saying, "Oh, that's terrible. Oh, they're trying to exterminate them." I think,
you weren't there, man. You weren't there.
You weren't there. You don't know fully what's got. You won't have got the full story.
No.
From here, word of mouth, travelling from Australia in 1932.
No, you probably would have only got the sensationalised media version of it.
Exactly. So, I mean, that annoys me that because we're laughing, but we're laughing at the soldiers because they're emus. And we're not laughing at the farmers' plight because that was quite serious. They were losing their livelihoods. They were losing their crops to these things.
No, that's not a laugh.
And that's not funny.
That's not funny at all.
But
the thing that's funny to me is the fact that they went to war with birds twice.
And lost. It's the soldiers.
That's just funny.
It's the soldiers running around the desert trying to shoot these birds. The thought of it just tickles me. I'm sorry.
Kamikaze emus.
Oh, that. I couldn't breathe when I was reading that, honestly. Wow. Okay, so the operation was deemed a success.
Yeah,
even though it really wasn't. It was deemed a success by the Australian government. Yeah, we did it. Yeah. We did our job. We did what you wanted to do. Except that in 1934, 43 and 48, the farmers went back to the government for help with this problem and they were refused. The government instead restarted a bounty program that had run in 1923 with, get this, now they should have just done this to start with, I think.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm going to agree with that.
Because this number now, let's compare 9,860 with soldiers with machine guns. Mm-hmm. Okay. Soldiers with machine guns. Over a 6-month period in 1932.
No, 1934.
Sorry, 1934. With this bounty system running, 57,034
bounties were claimed in a 6-month period.
So that's the farmers just doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Just going out with presumably shotguns.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was shotguns or it was like...
well, whatever it was.
Rifle or something like
that.
Maybe,
yeah, rifle. Yeah, hunting rifles. But, so 57,000 over 6 months. And the army managed 9,000 in, what was it, just over a month?
Just over a month.
Wow.
It just shows maybe if the farmers had been given the machine guns themselves.
Maybe.
The the problem would have been sorted a hell of a lot quicker.
Absolutely.
Because it seems to me that it was just a cascading...
It just seems like...
It's a cascading series of errors and failures.
It just sounds like an action comedy film, doesn't it?
It does.
And
funny that you should say
that leads us nicely into this next little bit, because it is going to be made into a film.
And it's being written by John Cleese. Is that Rob Schneider?
That's Rob Schneider.
And Monty Franklin. And it's set to begin production sometime this year.
In 2023.
When I seen that, I nearly wet myself laughing when I seen that.
We have to see that. I need to see this film.
I need to see this film. As I said to you when we were talking about it on WhatsApp the other day, I was like, I've got to go and see that film.
Absolutely.
I've got to go and see it.
And if John Cleese has got anything to do with it, it's gonna be mint.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the emus actually talks.
Well, I won't go that far, but...
No, seriously. Well, saying that, but it's John Cleese. You don't know what he's going to do.
No idea. Who do you think are going to play Meredith? Who would you like to see play Meredith?
Someone with a better gravitas.
You think?
Definitely someone with better gravitas, because he sounds like the kind of man that's like not like, oh, bully and everything like that. He sounds like he's a hard man, but he knows what he needs to do.
Okay, but fair enough. All right. So any picks for who he's gonna, who you think should play him? Who would you like to see play him?
Who I would like to see playing will probably be Anthony Hopkins, but I know that probably won't happen.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a problem. I can't think of what I'd like to see, to be fair.
Maybe an Australian actor? Obviously.
Well, I mean, with a guy like Gwyneth.
Welsh?
Welsh
Australian?
I couldn't find any information on him. He might have been born in Wales and over to...
He could have been. For all we know, he could have. He could have been born in Wales and emigrated.
Yeah.
Or his family, his mum and dad could have emigrated out there and he was born there.
Yeah. You don't know.
We don't know. But it's a very strong Welsh name.
It really is. Okay. Gwyneth. I think that's everything.
I do actually think that's everything for the Great Emu War.
Oh, the Great Emu War of 1932. Again, we promise you it's not. You can go and look it up yourself. It's not fiction.
This was
an amusing.
This was
a good one.
This was a good one, to be fair.
Okay, right. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up, actually.
Thank you very much for listening. If you're still with us, appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed that one. Again, like we said, we promise it's not fiction. You can find more episodes of History Laid Bare on Amazon and Spotify. Just search History Laid Bare. Martin, where else can people find us?
You can also find us on Facebook. Just search, again, History Laid Bare, and you'll find us. We're there. Woo! And you can also find us on Bannerman Productions on YouTube.
Yep.
As David is uploading previous episodes to YouTube with a little bit of a visual flair.
Yeah, a little bit of visual flavour.
Flavour.
And although it's not yet started, I am just going to say production blog at bannermanproductions.com. It is coming, I promise.
Yes, yes.
Having said that, that is it for episode 8
of the Emu War.
Well, it's the Emu War episode. It's episode 8 of History Laid Bare.
Yeah, I know, but it's like episode 8 of History Laid Bare, the Emu Wars.
I enjoyed that one.
I did as well.
And so, guys, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. I nearly forgot my line, man.
I nearly forgot to sign off.
I'm an idiot.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.